Avast ye bloomin' cockroaches, nigh your eyes nor your ears do deceive you not. Welcome to a special edition of Harping on the Past. Harpoon on the Past, a nautical theater kid podcast. We're at sea, guys.
Yes, thank you so much. We are currently at sea. That was not me speaking, even though a lot of people think that Elijah and I are the same person when we talk. Hi, welcome back to Harping on the Past, a Theater Kid podcast where we talk about theater, past, present, and probably the future. And guys, once again, I am not in my usual studio, and I'm not with my usual co-host Sheradyn. I am with some very, very special people in my life. I'm back with Elijah for the people who are watching, and
Hi, guys.
and for the people who are just listening, we have a new guest for the first time on this podcast, and I'm so excited because I've talked about having him come on the podcast before, and so I'm just going to have him introduce himself really quick, if he can stop laughing.
Hey guys, my name is Jordan. I am Jacob's younger brother. I'm sorry, our youngest brother is also here today, live in the audience.
He
and
is.
He is making faces at me. So I do apologize, but I am honored to be on the show.
Oh
tonight.
my gosh. I'm so happy that you're finally here, and it's very special because you're not typically a theater person, and here you are on this podcast about theater, but this is not really my usual hosting episode because this is a very special episode of the podcast because we are at sea, literally.
Nautical special.
We are in the middle of the ocean on a cruise ship, and Elisha just wanted to take over. I'm going to let him explain that to you guys really quick.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought, why not call it Harpoon on the Past? Since we're in the Caribbeans, pirates, Pirates of the Caribbean, all that good stuff. And that's the theme of this episode, but not really, loosely. Are we going to start off with the question?
Yeah. Wait, question. Like, what do you mean by
The
that?
question.
The question.
Yeah.
Why am I getting fired?
Yes.
Oh, yes. So, Jordan, we do this segment on this podcast called Why Am I Getting Fired? Or Why Am I Getting Hired for a Show? And I'll give you an example. So normally it's something kind of like, it can be theater related or it can be something completely random. I've had people tell me I'm getting fired for oversleeping, or I'm getting hired because I know all my lines for the show. Today I feel like I'm going to do something random. So I'm getting hired because I'm willing to just jump in and start dancing whenever, because here we are on this cruise, and there have been a lot of like what is it, like line dances, I guess, or like, they've been doing Cupid Shuffle and all of that good stuff, the wobble, even though most people on this boat don't know how to wobble, is what I've discovered. People just look like they're flailing, but not me. I'm committed to the bit. And also, guys, I did karaoke on the boat, and that was embarrassing, but I'm just willing to throw myself out there. So I'm getting hired for just dancing whenever. So do you have a reason why you're getting hired or fired?
Well, first off, I just want to touch on your little. You try to brush by it, but your little karaoke bit here. Now, I was honored to see that live, and we were all surprised. We were all in the audience, and we were very surprised on when they called Jacob's name. He performed popular, I think, from the movie or show Wicked, and he had everybody on their feet, and it was an amazing show. I just want to put that out there.
Thank
But
you.
to get into the question, why am I getting hired or why am I getting fired? I'm gonna go with I'm getting fired because I spilled my drink all over the line dancing floor and made two
no.
people slip.
Wait, that was you?
Wait. You're why they called the gurney.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not gonna answer any questions on that.
My God. Because yesterday, the person who slipped and now is walking around today on crutches.
I like to think that they're not really hurt. They're just doing it, being dramatic
To get the free stuff from the
yes,
cruise,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would do that too, so I get it.
Well, I do it at Disneyland all the time.
Yeah, I mean, you got it. Our brother just told us how he got a cripple pass or something at Knott's Berry Farm for nothing because he had a knee brace.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but wow, that's a good reason for getting fired. Damn. So you didn't say nothing to nobody.
No, I just did the Cupid Shuffle, but I never stopped going left. I just kept going left.
Oh, no. Well, I like that. Elijah, do you have a reason why you're getting hired or fired?
Well, we're at sea, so I think it's only appropriate to change the answer to why am I walking the plank?
Oh, you're changing
That's
it.
very good. Very
Yes.
good.
But my answer is the same. I'm not walking the plank. I'm the captain.
Of
I
course.
send people to the plank.
Wow.
You are
Wow.
okay. I will say also, I just feel since you've become like president of your club at your school that you've created, you've been on like this.
It's not at the school. It's part of a non-profit organization. We're an actual affiliate of the county. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's still really cool though. But ever since then, you got the presidential title. I just feel like you won that power trip. Because I remember too, before we even got on the cruise, I was like, "Oh yeah, like we have a fancy dinner, and we might."
And
it
I
was, like,
was-
called dining with the captain. Right?
I wanted to schmooze the captain. I
Yeah,
wanted to steer the
with the
ship.
captain.
And you were like, "Oh, I'm gonna eat with the captain. He's gonna let me steer the ship." And I'm like, "You're not gonna
We
probably
didn't meet
talk."
the captain.
No. We met our cruise director though,
Yes, we did.
a couple times. Tyler.
Yeah, shout out to Tyler.
Cool guy.
Yes, yes, I like Tyler.
Okay, so Elijah, this was your idea, this nautical themed podcast.
Yes.
Is there anything like in particular you wanted to talk about to
Uh,
like get this going?
You know, I just feel like, okay, you and I at least have a common love of Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes.
Oh, I'm gonna throw myself in that mix. I
Okay.
really love that movie and that series.
It just felt thematic, and that's quasi theater themed. You know,
Sure.
there's actors involved. So I was going to ask you a few questions, and I guess to both of you, because you're both kind of performers, slightly in a way.
Mm-hmm.
You were in a talent show.
We can talk about that. We'll talk about that on here.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, I guess to start off, well, let's Pirates of the Caribbean, right?
Yeah.
Joffrey Rush, Barbossa.
Okay.
He talked about how a big part of him getting into the method of the character was the costume.
Yes.
And with Barbossa, it was a really big hat.
Mhm.
So, in your performances, what is a way you find your character?
Oh. You see, this is one of those questions where I feel like I'm one of the fake theater people in the world because so many people in my experience in theater, like, I feel like I really dive into the research of the character and I really discover new things about them every day. And I'm like, yeah, I just tried changing my voice a little bit, like, and talked slower. And they were like, that was perfect. I'm like, okay, I'll keep doing that some more.
Method.
Yeah, the Jennifer Lawrence method. That's exactly how I refer to it. But I mean, I don't know. Costumes do help get into character, though. Like for you, Jordan, because you're not in theater, but you are in law enforcement. Do you feel like your uniform like helps you put like into that mindset? Like you are like, police officer. You are, like this authority of like the law.
I mean, in a sense, it's almost like, I do have that kind of aspect of it, but at the same time, it's the training doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
Contrary to belief, it's hard to turn that switch off
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to being off work or off duty and stuff. Like I always have the mindset of, if something goes south, then I'm going to be the one to try to step in and do what I need to do. But in a sense, it's like, you put on your uniform, you put on your belt, and you do feel like, you do feel that kind of sense of, all right, it's showtime, and I'm going to go out and, get the job done.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's kind of my, I wouldn't call it a costume per se, but
Well, it's
my uniform.
It's your uniform.
My job uniform just
Yeah.
says you would wear many uniforms in your line of work of theater and
Yeah.
so on
but
and
we
so
do call them
forth.
costumes, but yes. So I guess costumes is a big thing. For me, it's honestly once I know like my script, then I can really feel like I'm getting into character. But that's not really conventional for film and TV actors because they're doing, they're shooting things out of order. They're shooting reshoots
Yeah.
and getting script changes, or if they're on a TV show, like they have to like learn very quickly. So I think it's one of the things like time is what will develop your character,
Okay.
no matter what, in anything really. Like in any job or profession, like once you've been at it for a while, like that's when you'll be like, oh, this is how I like to do things. This is the groove of it, and this is what I want to maintain, and to have that, that kind of like attitude about things. I don't know.
And with that, I guess, do you feel like you have to find voice? Johnny Depp, in his interviews, talks about how finding the voice is a big way for him to figure out what the role is. So, do you have to find a voice in some way?
Do you want to take that?
Well, I mean, I feel like that's a really good question. That's a really good, method. But with all the different actors and actresses out there, I'm sure they each have like a similar type of method or their own kind of groove. But I personally wouldn't know how to answer that question. I feel like that is a good question for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, well, I mean, for sure. I took actually a voice for actors class in 2020 before the world shut down. Yeah. And that was interesting. And if I'm being honest, from what I can retain from that class, because honestly, most of us were in there and we didn't take it very seriously. But I mean, it depends on the character, because I mean, a lot of them will sound more like you. I feel like I naturally go into like a lower register whenever I'm on stage, like depending on the character. But when I played Robert in Boeing and Don't Dress for Dinner, Robert kind of sounds a bit more like this and higher and just so I think voice is a big part of that. And because I mean, with Johnny Depp especially, like you hear him as Captain Jack Sparrow and then you hear him as Willy Wonka, and it's like
it's night and day.
Two entirely different things.
But I will say, I do feel like, movie screen acting is way different than on stage.
It is.
On stage, you're almost having to be, way more animated for the dramatic effect for the crowd. You don't have extra, the extra assistance of editing and all that other stuff. So I feel like, like Robert and Boeing and stuff, like you really have to animate yourself way more than, if you're on camera. But
yeah, because editing's a big part of it too, and they can do a close up with theater, especially depending on how big the house is. Like our high school, was a 700 seat theater. Like you have to act big to reach the back of that theater. And then you've seen me, in my first professional show that was only a 100 seat theater, so it's like you don't have to do it as big, but you still have to like know how to animate. And it's just it's interesting. It's a very weird kind of way of going to work and all that. But so I guess since this is like a nautical themed episode, or theater related things like that, Jordan, you and I have gone on a cruise in the past. Do you remember seeing any of the shows from our first cruise back in 2006? You were 4 years old.
The only thing I really remember show wise that we went to was a magic show.
Yes, I remember that too.
We had, after the magic show, they gave us a little kit.
Yes, I think we had to buy that kit, but yes, I remember that.
Well, we bought it. We got the kit.
It's $17.
That's really what I remember as far as the shows go. I remember wanting to go to like comedy shows and just I was attached to my mom's hip at the time.
Yeah, I mean you were 4, so that's valid.
So like anytime they would want to go off and do something, I would always want to go with, and I'd get really bummed out when we couldn't.
Yeah.
But as far as remembering shows and stuff and other things, I remember eating a lot of ice cream, pizza, and going to that magic show.
Yeah.
How have you liked the shows and entertainment and whatever that you've seen now?
It's been pretty good. They're really creative at coming up with entertainment. I've done a lot of the Deal or No Deal show.
That is so fun.
Yeah,
the Deal or No Deal.
It's like the actual TV show.
Yeah, it was fun. Like, I mean, I didn't go on stage. I just played along in the audience, but that was super fun. The comedy shows, I only went to one show, and I was quite disappointed.
That is tea, but yeah, let's get into that.
Yeah, well, I mean, we went to the first ever comedy show I went to. It was an adult show, but I was 17 at the time. This is when we went to New York.
Yes,
I was still a senior in high school, and we were fortunate enough to come up with this money and stay like a couple blocks away from Times Square.
I'm still so proud of us for doing that. Like the fact that we
crazy.
did that, like because I was 20 years old, and you were 17, and basically 5 kids from Southern California who've never traveled without their parents like that went on this big trip to New York. Anyway.
So my whole experience with comedy shows has really been in New York and Times Square. We went to this little hole-in-the-wall place, and it's these comedians that are really trying to make it. So they're really giving it everything they got, and they came out swinging. And I've never laughed so hard in my life at those comedy shows. So when I was coming on board here, I was
High
expecting it to be,
expectations.
something similar because
Yeah.
in my mind at the time was like, all right, yeah, these guys are comedians off the street, from the street corners. They're just dudes that are just trying their
trying.
hand. They're not going to be that good. But I ended up laughing so much.
Yeah.
These guys are professional comedians considered.
With
Now that-
millions of hits on
Yeah.
TikTok.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff like that. And I was just fairly disappointed.
Yeah. I
So-
agree. Because I think, too, like you'd expect, because they're getting paid for this. And
Right.
the New York comedy show, it's like these people are trying to get that paycheck.
Yep.
And I don't know. I will say I feel like both of the comics we saw on this trip had moments that I thought were funny. But overall, I was also let down.
But I have funny moments too. I'm not getting paid for that.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I feel like I don't think I've ever actually seen a comedy show live before because I didn't go with you to the one in New York.
Did you not go to the second one? We went to two of them.
No, I didn't go to either one because the second time I was trying to stage door for Harry Potter and get some more signatures.
Oh.
So I didn't go to either one of the comedy shows. So I've only seen I've seen like Kevin Hart's special. I love Angela Johnson. I watch those like pre-taped specials, but I've never like gone in person to a show
And
before.
it's different. I mean, like when you're watching the special, they're still hilarious. But there's something so raw about being in that studio.
Yeah.
They're usually pretty small
Yeah.
too. They're not, I mean, I haven't been to like a large, stadium, Kevin Hart type setting, but
Yeah.
going to like the little comedy studios that you see, it's really funny. Like you really, it's super raw. You're really interacting with the comedian.
There's an energy that you feel in the
Yeah.
room, and it makes the experience all that much
Right.
better.
And like you were saying, like, yeah, they had funny moments. There was funny one-liners that, they were, popping off, and I was laughing, but it wasn't something that had me rolling. Like they would say something or say a joke, and it just didn't hit with anybody.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like,
Well,
haha.
And it's like,
Except the one drunk guy behind
Oh,
us.
yeah.
oh,
we
that
had
was
a-
also
we had a heckler.
annoying. We had a heckler.
Right behind us.
And they were, I mean, I get it because like, it's a vacation. We're on a cruise. Like, people are there to have a good
You
time.
got the drink package.
And it's like, I get it. Like, these are not typical, like, live performance type people. At least I don't think they are based on their, like, etiquette and their attitude. But I don't know. And it's stand-up comedy, so people have different tastes in comedy. And I don't try to, like, judge or knock people for the types of jokes that they tell because I'm like, that it works for some people.
It's comedy. That's
It's
just what
comedy.
it is.
It's art. There's going to be forms of media and art that like I love and other people don't. That's just the way it is. I mean, I personally was not a big fan of all the jokes being told by the comedians because I was like, okay. It just felt like the environment because I'm like, it's a carnival cruise, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's like. I feel like you'd think that this is a bit like inclusive of like all types of different people, different backgrounds.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know like why some of the jokes like you would tell there because like I think some of these comedians thought that they were just in Texas, and I'm like it's not just a Texas crowd,
Right.
So
I mean, I think it was just a majority because when they say Texas, like, oh yeah, we're from Texas or Dallas or whatever it is, people go. Majority of the people are going crazy about it.
Yeah.
So they're like, all right, cool. That's what I'm
This
going to
is
base
my
my material.
audience.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
going to base my material off people being from Texas, and it's just not going to stick with most people.
right.
So
But that was interesting. I'm glad that we went. I feel like there's been a lot of cool like little performances on this cruise. They even had like, were you there for the welcome show?
no,
That was something. It was very much like it was kind of just like a little concert. They were like doing covers of songs and dancing along to it. It was neat. And of course, every time people see performing stuff, the first thing they always do to me, they're like, "Jacob, I saw this, and it made me think of you." And I'm like, "Thank you." They're like, "You could do something like that." I'm like, "Thank you so much. That means the world
You
to
can
me."
perform on a cruise ship.
I get that, or I constantly hear
Disneyland.
Disneyland, or people be like, "Have you been to the Temecula Playhouse? Like, you would be so good." And I'm like, "Oh my God, no, but thank you." And I'm like, "Please don't insult me like that." Like, but no, I do appreciate it. But yeah, there's been a lot of fun, little cool performances throughout the ship. So I do know, Elijah, you had another game that you wanted to play.
Yes.
And now that we're about like midway through, I think
Yeah.
we should get into that.
All right. Yeah. Basically, it's F, Marry, Kill. But it's Harpoon, Court, Maroon. Pirates.
Harpoon, Court, Maroon?
Yeah.
Okay, so Harpoon is
F.
okay, fuck. Okay.
Marry is courting.
Okay.
And Maroon is kill.
okay.
Yeah.
Like anyone in general?
Anyone, themes, genres of theater, of music, movies, whatever you like.
Okay.
There's
something you want to say.
So
No, I'm sorry. Continue.
Okay.
I made this up. It's a very
No,
good
no,
game.
yes. No, it sounds good.
I guess, yeah, my first question. Harpoon, Court, Maroon, Keira Knightley, Orlando Bloom, Johnny Depp. Who are we killing?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I would just like the whole audience know that my fiance here is
She is part of our live studio audience today, guys.
She's here. So we are playing a game, right?
Yes.
We know this. We all know it. It's just a game. It's just a game.
It's just a game.
So we're gonna start with harpooning. I'm gonna have to say.
Harpoon is kill, right?
No, that's
No,
F.
that's F.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well,
Harpoon
you
is
see-
F.
You see, it's kind of tough for me, you know.
I know, I gave you two men. I'm sorry.
You have
Yeah.
to pick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, harpoon has got to. Man, that's a tough.
It's a Harpoon is
Well,
good.
because you know, you have Johnny Depp. I'm gonna say, you know, my courting is gonna be Keira Knightley.
Okay.
Okay, and she's hot.
Yeah. She is.
Yeah, she's hot.
She's a good looking girl.
I don't know what. I mean, I know what Johnny Depp looks like now.
Now think of pirates, Johnny. We're on the
Pirate
ship.
Johnny.
We're on
Okay,
the sea.
yes. I'm gonna have to say, Harpoon, Orlando Bloom then, and
I agree.
Maroon,
Sorry.
Johnny Depp.
I think my answers are the same.
But you know why? Here, I'm gonna tell you why. Can I tell you guys something?
Uh-huh.
The reason why, if we're thinking of Johnny Depp in that movie, he's very dirty.
yes.
Right.
No, that's why I'm like, get rid of it.
Yeah.
I don't want him.
It's the whole. What was that? It's paprika when he starts. You know.
And the second one,
Yeah.
little seasoning.
Oh God.
So that's my reason for it. Just you know, that's the reason for it. I just feel like he was very, you know, he's a pirate. Orlando
That's-
Bloom's not
that's
necessarily a
fair.
pirate in the
Good
beginning.
thinking
I'm
about
thinking of the first movie.
The first movie?
Kind of, you know.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people too, like in Heartstopper, like that was like their bisexual awakening was watching Pirates of the Caribbean, being like,
Yeah.
wait, Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hear that one in The Mummy a lot, but no, I agree with you. Yeah, at
Oh, that's a good one in the Mummy.
yeah, Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz. Come on.
I mean, she's not very hot in the first one.
Yeah, I like her look in the first one.
And,
I like it. Like it's a bit more like subtle and
yeah.
I,
The flashback scenes in the second one, though.
oh no, yeah, you're right. I think
Yeah.
they need to do a Mummy 4 personally, because Brendan Fraser is making his big comeback right now.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it, but if they were to be like, we're gonna make a Mummy 4, I'm gonna go see
Well, they
it.
ruined it with the third one because it's not the same Alex.
Oh well,
Oh,
get
yeah.
rid of him. We don't need Alex.
So you'd have to redo the third movie.
No, you
No.
have you
Oh,
seen the new
that's not
Have you seen the new Indiana Jones? Have you seen
No.
that yet? Okay, so I'm not gonna say nothing yet,
Okay.
but like there.
Well, I know they got rid of Silo.
That
Or,
was like a big
you know.
issue. Like people didn't like the fourth movie, and they had problems with him. And I will say the fifth movie kind of takes care of that, and it's part of the story.
Huh.
But no, I agree with you. Harpoon, Will Turner, Court, Elizabeth Swann, and what's the last
Maroon.
one? Maroon, Captain Jack Sparrow.
Okay.
Captain Jack Sparrow. Okay, I'll ask one, and this is kind of just, I guess, in general. I don't know how this is gonna work, but so okay, Harpoon, Court, Maroon, Cozumel, Belize, Costa Maya.
Yes,
because these are
yes.
the locations that we just went to on the cruise. So I'm like what are we like? Like have a good time with this one, but we're gonna marry this one and get rid of this one entirely. Kind of vibe.
Wow, that's a good one. Elijah, if we want to go ahead and start it off.
um, I think I'm gonna maroon Costa Maya. Only because we went to see the Mayan temples.
Yes.
Which were incredible, but there's bigger ones elsewhere.
Yeah, that's
So,
fair.
That's fair. That's fair.
Harpoon, Belize, because those stalactites and whatever we saw, that was
Yes.
that was great. That was incredible, and Court Cozumel, just because I wish I had more time there.
It's so pretty.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Cozumel being my favorite when we were kids on the cruise.
Yeah.
Even though I stepped on a sea urchin, but
I didn't even swim.
Ooh, that's probably my alcohol.
it was like someone's at the
You got
door.
alcohol?
Luckily, we
you
have
wanna
our
go
live
ahead and
studio
grab that.
audience. We'll go and get the door.
I have tequila that I got in Cozumel.
Oh, that's right. There's been so many noises too going on. I don't know if the microphones are picking any of them up, but
It's ambience.
if they are, that's just what it is. Being
Can
a podcast.
I show it?
fancy.
Can I show what I got?
Sure. Yeah. Before you show it though, have
I
you
might
come
need
up?
to go sign because she's not
Okay.
21 yet.
I'm like, have you got your answer though for your
Oh,
harpoon? Oh, never mind. It's
wrapped up.
It's all wrapped up.
Tight.
we don't
Can you
want
hold
that.
this microphone.
We'll keep talking really quick.
Okay.
See, I feel like I'm a little tossed up between courting and harpooning Belize and not Costa Maya, Cozumel.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I don't know why. I feel like,
I'm sorry. So your first one. You said Belize
yeah, Belize and
for courting.
Cozumel. I'm stuck between harpooning and courting. And I think that's just because I feel like Cozumel's so beautiful, and I feel like you could have a good time at Cozumel.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, like that's like where you want to go. Like let's just have like one good night,
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know, like Belize, I'm like, they had good hot sauce, so I feel like I could stay there.
But can I just say, they also have jaguars. And
Jaguars.
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 And if I were to be killed by a jaguar, no one would forget it. That's such an embarrassing way to die. Like, I don't want to. Oh yeah, he got mauled by a jaguar on vacation. No.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I'd rather stay in Cozumel.
Okay, fair.
Yeah,
That's fair.
I'm kind of gonna. I mean, contrary to what you just said, Cozumel was beautiful. I really like the environment too. It's an island. I mean, I feel like I might get island fever, but I'm gonna have to say Court Cozumel, just because the surrounding, like Belize, is very, it's beautiful, but the landscape was super like almost swamp like and
Yeah.
That is true.
marsh-like. I
Yeah.
mean, Costa Maya was almost the same, but Belize the food was really good.
Yeah.
A lot of jungles, and I'm just like, we're gonna go ahead and I would say maroon Belize.
Maroon
And
Belize.
I know, yes,
Wow.
yeah.
Whoa.
I really did enjoy it,
We've
but
only been a country for 40 years. What are you
Yeah.
doing?
yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to say maroon Belize and Harpoon Costa Maya.
Okay.
So
I will say one thing I did not expect was the hour and a half commutes that we had to do
Oh
to
my
get to
God,
these
yes.
excursions. I didn't realize that that's how long it was going to take to get to these locations, but it was still very cool, long bus rides, but very informational.
Our tour guides too were so cool. I mean, that's a performance in itself. I couldn't talk to people for an hour and a half about where I live.
It really is. We also, I don't remember if I talked about it on the podcast or not before, but because when we went to visit you in Arizona and we went to the crater thing that they have out there,
yes.
our tour guide, I was like, oh my God, give me an hour to look at his script and I can do a 10 times better job than he ever did.
We
like,
were all talking about that.
I was like, oh my goodness. Because, like, that truly is a performing job, being a tour guide. Like, you have to be upbeat and educational, but also, like, interesting and keep it fun for everybody. So,
Could you give people a tour of Arizona?
Honestly, I feel like I couldn't do it just because Arizona is so vast. I mean, it's almost like California. Like it's huge and it's different parts of the state that are just absolutely different. Um, I mean, I in a sense I do tours for people like when I'm on like when they go on ride-alongs with me at work.
yeah.
Um, but as far as like actually doing um a whole tour, I don't know if I could do it. Not Arizona. I could definitely be a tour guide and
Mm-hmm.
absolutely show out. But you have to remember, like some of these guys do. Like, think about Disneyland Jungle Cruise.
Yes.
Like these guys are doing a tour guide experience, but they're doing it, I don't know, 50 times a day. By the time you hit your last tour, you're gonna be like,
You're
and if
exhausted.
you look to your left, you're gonna see elephants. Oh no! Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna kind of get dragged out and stuff. And I feel like, in the defense of our tour guides here in other countries, English is not their first language, so they have to fill in a lot of their words with like ums and okays and
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Uh,
man.
Yeah, man.
okay guys, and things like that where
Yeah.
they're really filling it in, they're really working, they're trying their best. Christian from our Belize excursion,
He was the best.
He was super cool.
yeah, he's very knowledgeable, cracked a lot of jokes, definitely was a local of Belize and
Yeah.
had
I
that
just-
style.
I was like, I want to be your friend. Like, I just
Yeah.
want to like, I'm like, can I get your Insta? Like, let's just like,
Yeah,
hang
he was
out.
very cool.
Yeah. I feel like, because, I work Trader Joe's. I've talked about this before. And I'm like, I feel like that's the only reason why I'm like, I believe I could be a tour guide. I'd love to do like the Disneyland tours.
Okay, yeah.
Because I feel like it's the same thing. Like, it's the same script. You're working at a check stand. Like, hi, how are you today? Like, you have to maintain that happiness and that like ask all the
Yeah.
questions
Right.
for everybody. Like, it's the same kind of deal. It's just a shorter script that you're following and all of that. So
That's why I'm on the phone. I'm behind a desk.
but I feel like still on the phone, like you have to maintain like your hi, like I'm, Elijah from the solar company, like I blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
Like you have
yeah.
to still like because you don't want people to be like, oh, that guy on the phone is an asshole. Like
Sometimes they are.
yeah, but at least like for your own conscience, like cautiousness, like to
Yeah.
not be like that. But I don't know.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree too. And I worked at Trader Joe's too for a stand of time. It was actually my
Did
first
you?
job. Yeah, I started my job I was like a junior in high school, and I started at Trader Joe's. And yeah, that job is very animated, and you are performing. It's a very
Constantly.
customer. I don't know if a lot of people have been to Trader Joe's, but it's very customer service pushed. Like it's
Yes.
yeah, but you enjoy working there. Like everybody has the same mindset.
Mhm.
Everybody's very positive and very outgoing.
Mhm.
There's a couple like grouchy people, and they're usually like older folk, and
Yeah.
but everybody's super outgoing and it's performing, and stuff like that. So I definitely can see you being, like aside from your acting stuff, like what you do, that job would naturally set you up to be successful and
Thank you. No, because I feel
being
like
a tour guide.
I feel like I'd be great giving like the plaid tours for the Disneyland people or the Universal Studios tour. Like I've done that tour more times than I can count, and I'm like, I guarantee you, I could give the tour to the
Like
people.
for the studio tram.
Yeah, I'm like, I guarantee I could give this tour right now, because I've learned so much about doing it, and I don't know, and like I've had great tour guides and terrible tour guides on that one, so I don't know. I feel like I could easily do the Universal tour and stuff. Alrighty, so I'm gonna ask Jordan now a couple questions because you are on a theater podcast, but you're not a theater person.
No.
So I'm gonna ask you a couple theater related questions, and I'm gonna see how many of them you get right. These are gonna be all from the top of my head, by the way, guys. So I apologize if things aren't worded correctly, but I'm gonna give you some very basic questions because Elijah played this game before.
I'm probably going to forget the answers.
So, I mean, you can sit back and watch or do whatever, but alrighty. So, we're going to play this theater game right now. So, Jordan, my first question for you. What is blocking?
Blocking. If I had to guess in a theater stand, like everybody's gonna think blocking means, oh yeah, you have an actor in front of another actor or something like that. But I feel like it's not as straightforward. I feel like blocking would just be like blocks of a segment. So maybe starting at a certain segment or whatever, or I'm sorry, excuse me, like starting at a certain segment or maybe like a scene or just certain points is what I would
Okay.
think.
Okay.
But maybe it is straightforward and just like, yeah, you're blocking another actor, you're blocking the main character or
Okay.
something like that.
Okay. Interesting take. So, okay. Close. I think what you're thinking of is the term we call upstaging. But so blocking is all of the movements happening on stage and the coordinated movements that you're giving your actors.
Like a
So,
scene.
yes.
Oh, I was close.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so all of the movement going on between all the actors on stage and where things go, things like that. That's what blocking is.
Nice. Okay. Well, okay.
Okay,
It makes me feel better.
I'm gonna. Okay, next question. Do you know what ASM stands for?
I don't know what that stands for, and I've been asked it like 3 times now.
ASM.
Yeah,
And we're all still talking about just theater.
this is
terms,
all theater
right?
terms. Yes.
I think I know.
That's a tough one. I mean, and I love acronyms. I have no idea.
ASM is assistant stage manager.
Oh,
I was wrong.
So, assistant stage manager is someone who quite literally assists the stage manager. In the shows I've done, they're always backstage for us. They are getting our props and costumes ready, doing all the little bits and bobs backstage, prepping things. When you saw the ferryman, our ASMs were the ones handling the geese, handling the baby,
okay.
getting the food pre-prepped. They're
Gotcha.
resetting the stage. They have incredible, very important jobs, and I could never do it. I have so much respect.
I'm sorry. Can I just interrupt real quick? So,
Mm-hmm.
on those shows, is all the food real or
So for the ferryman, yes, that food
like
was.
the dinner scenes? Right?
They were eating food.
And you guys just have to restock that like every
Yep,
show.
they had to buy food.
It was a working oven too, right? They cooked on this stage somewhat, right?
Yes and no.
Okay.
They wanted us to have, because in the Broadway show it is a real oven and they are cooking on a working stove. We didn't have the capacity to make our stove function, so we had like a hot plate like we use when we go camping,
Oh, okay.
and they heated up the food
So
that
it's a
way.
facade. Okay.
Yes, but they were cooking the eggs on stage, so but not on like a real stove top.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. What's another fun theater question I can ask you? I don't know. I can't. I'm trying to remember some of the questions I asked you. Do you know what a tech rehearsal is?
Tech rehearsal. Well, our cousin Haley was in tech.
Yeah, she was.
A tech rehearsal, just making sure lights work, sound works, all that stuff. Microphone, they have to do mic checks because a lot of people have microphones, and for the most part, I mean, bigger shows, smaller shows, obviously you're not going to have that in like a box room or a box type of stage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you're basically right. Yeah, that's getting all the lights and the sounds, and usually sometimes like the costumes all coordinated under, like one big rehearsal. And tech rehearsals in college and the professional world usually range from 12 hours or 10 hours.
Well, that's a long time.
Yeah.
But I understand. I'm sure it would be grueling process to be sitting there to do mic checks and whatnot.
It's mostly the lighting and the sound cues. It's mostly lighting is what takes forever, and it's like a cue by cue, so like you don't even do your whole thing. I one time went to a tech rehearsal. I was there for 5 hours and I didn't even get called on stage, but I was still there. I got paid for it, so
That's good.
that's all that matters. Next question. We'll do like 2 more. Oh, do you know the difference between an understudy and a swing?
I'm going to go off a whim here. An understudy would be somebody whose sole or purpose is to be a backup to the main character, right? A swing, what I would think a swing is somebody who has a primary job acting as somebody else, but if the main or lead goes down or somebody else of higher importance goes down, that swing would then step in. So that swing has a job no matter what on the stage.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty close. So an understudy typically, covers one character usually, or 2, depends. And a swing usually goes on for the understudy. So like, let's say we're seeing, I don't know, what's a show that you might know. If we're seeing Wicked, and the Glinda goes out her understudy will come in, but the understudy is usually the understudies are always in the show, no matter what. Like they're always like a
okay.
part of the ensemble, and then the understudy has to go on for Glinda, and then a swing will come in to fill in her spot.
Okay, so I mixed up the swing and the understudy in it almost.
It's very
I
confusing,
feel
and then
like you were close though.
you're very close. And then there's also standbys, and those are again like if they have no understudies or swings, the standby will go on for like they usually just cover the lead and that's it. But the understudies typically cover more than one role, and the swings cover a lot of like the ensemble roles and
Okay.
some of the principal characters.
Gotcha. Okay. So I was close, almost to a T. I just mixed up
Yes,
the definitions for each one. Okay,
yes. And then
I'll accept it.
true or false, this podcast was named after a quote from Wicked.
Harping on the past.
Mm-hmm.
Well, knowing you, I want to say true, but I'm going to say false.
You were right on the instinct. It was that is true. That is true. You saw me sing "Popular," which is a song Glinda sings in the show. And I've said it. I'm gonna say it again because I can. There's a line in the show where they're in class, and it's history class, and Glinda raises her hand and she goes, "I don't see why you can't just teach us history instead of always harping on the past." And it gets such a big laugh, and I'm like, that's just hilarious. So. Honestly, like Wicked is coming on tour next December. It's going to be in California, and I want you to come see it with us because it's such a great show.
Where is it? Is it?
It's going to be at the Pantages in Hollywood.
Oh, okay. So not too far. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Wicked is my favorite. Okay, so what time are we at? We're getting pretty close to our time. Just so thank you both for coming onto the podcast again, and thank you. This is your third episode, Elijah. Thank you.
My first special.
First special that you hosted. And Jordan, this is your first time coming on, and I just thank you so much for letting us use your room.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
This is pretty cool.
Yes, because we're in Jordan's cruise ship cabin room right now because it's a mansion.
I just want to brag on that real quick. I don't know how we got it, but we ended up getting a suite type room. Like our room was huge,
It's
and even
giant.
for like the balcony, like it blows a balcony room out of the water as far as
He
size
has
goes.
windows.
Like we have two like sets of portholes, which is usually unheard of.
Yeah.
So
No, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous, and I'm jealous. But before we go, I just want to ask a selfish question, I guess, because you have seen me in theater for, I don't know, however many years now, since I was in middle school. So has there ever been like a performance or a show that made you be like, yeah, my brother's not so bad. Like he's okay.
well,
He's like, no.
I just want to be
mean-
selfish. I want to know.
honestly, all of them is. I'm always excited to go to see the shows. My favorite shows, have always been. I believe it's Princess and the Pea where you played Dauntless. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
It's,
one of my
Once
favorite
Upon a
ones.
Mattress is
Once
what it
Upon a
is.
Mattress, not Princess and the Pea.
Cute.
But yeah, that's one of my favorite shows that I remember seeing you in. I mean, I love all the performances. My fiance has not yet seen you perform. The first time she's seen you perform was your karaoke night on the cruise
Yeah,
ship.
what the heck? How have you not?
So-
She's off camera, but how have you not seen me in a show yet? Like, that is crazy.
It's always been like a last minute thing where, like, even when I went to what was the recent one? The one we just talked about.
You saw the Ferryman.
The Ferryman. Yeah, like that was the last minute show. I wasn't even supposed to go to it, and I ended up taking my little brother's ticket to go see it because I just happened to be in town. So it's kind of been like one of those type things. But
Okay.
yeah. But to continue, another one of my favorite, like all time favorite plays and performances is I don't remember. I don't know what that is. There's a little noise.
I don't know who that is either. And I'm like,
It's your
okay.
tequila.
It's my little bro. It's probably Mason's game or something like
I'm
that.
just saying that. And I don't know what it is. So that might be on camera. Who knows?
I'm sorry.
Who knows? You're good.
let me get back on track here. But I don't remember the name of the show. It's something that was put on annually about school shooter awareness type ordeals. That one I've
Bang
seen
Bang.
that Bang Bang You're Dead is
Bang Bang
is
You're
the
Dead.
name of the show, and I've seen that since I was in 6th grade. So I've seen a total of. Well, hold on, because you were how many grades ahead of you? 2 grades,
I was 3 grades ahead of you.
3 grades. So when I was in middle school, you were a freshman, I believe.
Yeah, freshman. Yeah.
So I saw that show 4 times with you in it 4 times because I saw it every
3 times. I was in it 3 times.
I seen it every time you were in it.
Okay.
So, and that's one of my favorite shows of all time. It's a very serious show. It's very emotional, and it really captures like personal. Like basically, what they did in that show is there's certain scenes where the kids are telling the shooter what they took from them, and it's very personal, and it is very emotional, and it makes you really feel the pain that all of them and the trauma that all of them went through. And that's how amazing the acting was. It's a very serious show. It's not comedic.
No.
At any point, it's not like a musical. It's a very serious and emotional show.
Yeah.
And that is definitely one of my all time favorite shows to watch. Even though it's super sad, and I always end up, I would be bawling my eyes out. Especially the first time you hear it, and like you experience that. Like it's very. Yeah. It cuts deep. Yeah. You're like, oh my God, like I couldn't imagine losing my family member to, something as traumatic as an event like that. So it really hit close to home.
And it's really sad, especially like when you see an actor playing a deceased character, and like they are family. Like it just hits. You're like, that could be like my brother or my sister up there. And like you hear, because we made the lines so personal. Like we would have lines like, I'll never see my brother play his first varsity football game. I'll never get to see my brother, get married. Things like that. And like it was so the most emotional thing. And I directed it my last year. So that's right. I had a role in it still, but I gotta take a step back. But even still, like watching all of that work was so emotional. But that makes me happy to know that that's a show that stuck with you, because I always worry that people won't like that show or don't think that it's important. And it is a very serious show.
To get out of class. Yeah.
It's super intimate because it's not on a typical stage. It's like in their box room or
the black box.
Like a black box. So it's like you're up close and personal. Everything is happening 5 feet away from you. The actors are in the audience with you, and I don't believe there's any microphones. You guys don't use microphones in there, right?
It's all projected. And the show is different now, because it used to be like a regular audience. Now it's a show that's done theater in the round, so everyone's sitting around the stage.
Okay.
And it feels very, very intimate now.
I thought that's how it was when we seen it.
No, just my senior year was the first year we had done it like that.
Okay. But yeah, that's such an amazing show. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. No. Yeah. I think that's all we really. I mean, we're pretty much at time now. But yeah, this was so much fun. I was a little worried. I was like, I don't know what we're going to talk about for a whole hour, but I feel like we filled in that time.
Yeah, we did.
Pretty good.
Really quick.
Yeah, thank you guys again. Thank you, Elijah. Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And so much respect to both of you for all the hard work you're doing. Elijah's doing a lot of work with mental health advocacy. You're doing a lot of work with police, being a police officer and law enforcement, and just keeping everyone safe. And it's super important to remember to have those things out there. Like, as much as we love theater and our little theater podcast, like, grateful for all of your guys' work that you guys are both doing. And so thank you so much. It is just so amazing. Alrighty, guys, this has been Harpoon on the Past, the nautical themed Theater Kid podcast. And we will see you guys soon.
Bye.
All right, bye.